What if there was a natural, safe, and cheap supplement that could reduce your mental chatter and improve your sleep? Well, Mother Nature may have produced the perfect thing. Today, we're continuing our focus on the third major cause of suboptimal sleep, cognitive overactivation. In the last video, I covered an electrostimulation option for reducing cognitive overactivation, known as cranio-electrotherapy stimulation. Today, we're going to continue our focus on neurological strategies to reduce cognitive overactivation in order to improve your sleep. I'm Dr. Chris Friesen from Friesen Performance, where I help you achieve your greatest potential by optimizing your psychology, physiology, and neurology. Today, I want to focus on the potential of the amino acid l-theanine when it comes to reducing cognitive overactivation and improving your sleep. So what's l-theanine? L-theanine is an amino acid that's primarily found in tea, in the tea plant, Camellia Sinensis. So in other words, it's found in black tea and green tea. It's not found in other herbal teas. There's also no significant amount of L-theanine in coffee. The highest concentration seems to be in green tea. So a cup of green tea has about 40 milligrams of L-theanine. Consumption of L-theanine is considered safe with no significant side effects. But always check with your physician before starting any supplement plan. The typical supplemental dose of L-theanine is usually between 100 and 250 milligrams. When taken as a supplement or consumed via tea, it's been found to reach the brain. What's interesting about L-theanine is that it seems to have an effect on caffeine, especially the negative effects of caffeine, the jitters. The L-theanine content in tea appears to be the main reason there are different effects when one consumes coffee versus tea when controlling for the amount of caffeine. Coffee seems to have a stronger effect at raising blood pressure and giving you the jitters. Coffee seems to be better when it comes to physical activity. Tea, on the other hand, with its higher amount of L-theanine, seems to be better for more cognitive tasks. It's probably not a coincidence that tea consumption is very high in Asian cultures, where both meditation and yoga were essentially invented. When taken as a supplement on its own, L-theanine has been found in some studies to improve attention and executive functioning, but there's definitely more research needed. When combined with caffeine, there seems to be a synergistic effect on cognition. But there are a number of studies that show that when you take L-theanine on its own, it tends to reduce anxiety and stress. There are a number of studies that show consumption of L-theanine in supplemental form tends to increase alpha brainwaves. Remember, these are the brainwaves that increase when we stop thinking and our brain relaxes. So in other words, it can potentially reduce cognitive overactivation and therefore help us sleep. There's some evidence that consumption of L-theanine improves sleep, including deep sleep, but the research on sleep and L-theanine is sparse and mixed. One reason for this may be the fact that L-theanine is probably only helpful for those people who have difficulties shutting down their minds, in other words, cognitive overactivation. Remember, when we increase alpha waves in the brain, our brain tends to relax and the internal chatter seems to calm down. In terms of my experience consuming L-theanine and comparing it to things like coffee, tea, or consuming coffee with L-theanine as a supplement, what I find is when I consume L-theanine, let's say with coffee, it tends to lengthen the effect of caffeine. It seems to smooth out the effect. I definitely notice there's less jitters, my heart rate doesn't seem as high, and I seem less physiologically activated. I find that if I consume coffee on its own without L-theanine, something that I do maybe once or twice a week, I find that I can do lots of physical work, but I don't really want to sit down and do cognitive work. If I include L-theanine, I find that I'm better able to focus and sit down. Coffee or caffeine without L-theanine basically gives me too much physical energy. I get the same effect when I consume green tea. I feel like I can focus better and I'm more willing to sit down and dive into something. So if I want to do more physical work, like house cleaning, or maybe a hard workout, or something else like yard work, pure coffee without L-theanine seems to be the way to go for me. But if I want to study or focus or read, using L-theanine with coffee or drinking green tea seems to be the best way. Another interesting idea is that L-theanine may be an alternative to THC. For those of you who are using THC, cannabis, marijuana to help with sleep, l-theanine may be an alternative. There's no doubt it's not as strong, but we do know that consumption of THC increases alpha waves in the brain. So does l-theanine. Of course, there's no alteration of consciousness when you consume l-theanine like you do with THC, but there's definitely an effect. I personally notice when I consume l-theanine, I tend to worry less, and my internal dialogue tends to dial down. Another great thing about l-theanine is that it doesn't sedate you like THC does. I found that if I have a lot on my mind and I know I'm going to have a hard time sleeping because of these things on my mind, if I consume l-theanine, it really helps calm my chatter and allows me to sleep. So consider whether l-theanine may be right for you. I recommend you check out examine.com and look up l-theanine and see the research yourself. If you like this video, please hit the like button, hit subscribe if you want to get alerted to future videos on similar content. So until next time, keep moving forward.